We developed Hope today, and we were really inspired throughout the stories and understanding what people go through. We were really inspired by the power of community and the road to recovery. And so we made our mission statement, or our how might we statement, to be how might we leverage a support network to assist small businesses to address opioids in the workplace. Speaking to Sean this morning, we understood how the union is really able to utilize different users, different addicts, those who are recovery, people who are sober, to support those who need it. But we imagined, okay, what if you only have 5 people working for you? You won't necessarily have that. If only 10% of your workforce is impacted by this, all 10% of it is the person who needs help. So we want to be able to leverage a network in order to do that. And so we came up with HOPE, which stands for Halting Opioids with Peer Engagement. And to really visualize this, we built out a journey map today. And I know it's probably very difficult to see from back there, but I encourage you to come up close because it's awesome. So to make it easier for you guys to see, we are actually going to act out how this will actually interact. So here we have a manager, and this manager has a star employee who she's noticed hasn't quite been performing like she usually does. She's concerned about them because it is a small workplace, and she wants to know how they're doing.
Sybil, I noticed your work has been slipping. I just want to see, like, are you okay? Is there anything we can help you with?
Oh, everything's fine.
So as you can see, she's lying and denying, and we learned through our research that that is very common. They will lie to themselves, they'll lie to their employers and to their family. So what is a manager to do in this situation? She happens to discover Hope. This is Hope. So Hope is a inclusive program that this manager can adopt into her workplace to be able to provide tools and resources for a small company to be able to make sure that their employees are healthy and happy. So this is Hope handing our manager here a bunch of resources, such as understanding how to best utilize their insurance policies, how to create the correct language to speak to people about it, and how to normalize and take the stigma away. She's really excited. In addition, Hope has a mobile app tool that she wants to introduce to her employees as well.
Employees, please meet Hope, our new sort of workplace solution. You can anonymously or anonymously log on to the app for connections with sort of peers in your area, in your field of work. Isn't this amazing?
So here we have Hope now being introduced to the employees, and what we knew about from understanding the research was there needs to be some sort of opportunity for them to recognize that there is a resource for them. And then once they naturally have the confidence, and this is something that we didn't think we could design for quite yet, but when our employee here is ready to recognize their own struggles and ready to get help, they can engage this tool that their employee now provided for them, which previously didn't exist before. So here we have Sybil downloading Hope. So they're meeting for the first time. We jumped the gun here, there's no network yet. But so now our employee downloaded Hope. And trust is huge, right? Trust is how you have that one person that you're going to go to who's going to get you through rehab, on the road to recovery. And then also when you're going back into the workforce, what we learned was it's hard because you have all these common triggers that previously caused you to use the opioids to begin with. So how can you have somebody there that you trust to pull you out or keep you on the straight and narrow? So Hope gets a list of preferences from our employee Sybil here and understands, okay, she's in the table manufacturing industry. So is Chad. I'm going to connect them. Maybe they have a lot in common. Now Chad's been on here for quite some time.
Hey, I've been sober for 15 months, and if you're having trouble becoming sober, I'm going to show you how.
So Chad now has the confidence to move from his anonymous avatar character in the app to him himself, because being able to have him show his story and see that success is actually going to encourage Sybil to do the same.
Thanks to your help, I've gotten on into recovery, and I've been sober for 6 months as well.
Yay, success!
Thanks.
As a manager, I can also connect with other managers who use this in their workplace to have my own peer network if I have to reach out to someone to ask how they've handled reintroducing employees after they've taken a leave of absence for opioid treatment. And I also have sort of a peer network I might be missing as a single small business owner.
So, or maybe more probably a platform and all the resources that come with it, but possibly most importantly, the other humans that are in this network. How do you envision those humans are going to actually become part of it? Is there an incentivization? What's your thinking around how do we get it from day one when it's built to at some point in the future when there are many people using it or part of the network?
Well, one of the things we struggled with, we have sort of a whole roadmap of activities that we didn't present exactly here, but one of those was that when the employer signs on, that all employees automatically get invited to join the app. They get assigned a number rather than using any kind of naming, so that there's complete and that word.
Anonymity.
That's it. And with the idea that then they would be encouraged, and then they would get some reminders to periodically to engage, to first of all sign on, and then afterwards say, hey, we see you've been on here for a while, why don't you take a look at some of the resources, those kinds of anonymous things. And then there would be the peer network that would have conversation happening within the app, and of course all of that would remain anonymous too, so the goal being that there is really low risk and low barriers to getting started.
We also had the idea of introducing it within a specific city, so then that way we could kind of mirror the in-person component to it as well and create strength with that, and kind of have a geo option in addition to creating that trust with someone who maybe has similar interests, already identifies within a certain community as you, but is also within a specific area, which we would then adopt.
Because we were really excited when Sean talked about sort of the peer program he's been running of partnering someone new to recovery with someone in at the same work site, and how valuable it was to be at the same work site. And we were sort of trying to recreate that pairing across different types of industries.
Does that peering, two questions. Sorry. Can't help myself.
Two questions, but also.
Is that network monitored from a quality standpoint? Make sure that nothing nefarious is going on within
We
that.
talked a lot. One of the benefits I think of why a business would subscribe to this is that it is a closed network, right? This isn't an open internet thing where you end up with a lot of crazy trolls on there harassing people, or for-profit rehabs advertising to people. So we're hoping that the closed network aspect sort of keeps some of that abuse under control, and we were back and forth as far as monitoring it went for obvious reasons.
Okay. I forgot my second question.
Did you have any kind of conversation, because back to your original premise is that there's 5 employees and only one maybe suffering from opioids, but we also talked in the beginning about maybe nobody in your company or business is, but their partner is, their family is, or maybe you have people ODing in your bathroom. So was there any conversation how to expand hope to only addicts use it, to you're trying to support an addict or you're dealing with people who are addicted?
Yeah, that was one of the things that we talked about when we broke down some of the needs and the different things that when we built the personas, that would be one of the things that we would support on the user side, or when I say the user, I keep saying user, I mean the worker side, that there would be, different options that they can get into, whether they're a recovering addict, active addict, or someone that just has a family member who needs to provide some sort of support to a family member. That would be
And also it'd be a spot where people who need it for themselves or their dependents could get information on like what does our insurance cover in terms of hospital stays, what sort of leave is available to me, am I eligible for FMLA leave to take care of a family member?
My question revolves around, well, partially you guys jumped right to the solution, and I didn't hear everything about, how you got to that. But one of the things I was curious about, these days, it's almost a default solution that there'll be a mobile app. And you guys handed this big batch of resources that were, one of them was the mobile app, and then you focused on that. I guess my question is, was there a key insight that suggested that mobile app was going to be the gateway to solve this? Or was there something else that suggested that something other than the app that was maybe in that other package of resources could provide another multi-platform solution, and not just relying on an app that sometimes it's hard to get folks to adopt?
Yeah, definitely. So what we did in our competitive analysis was take a look at what are the apps like right now that are kind of trying to support recovery, but then also what are the resources available for employers. And there's a lot of guides and best practices, but there was nothing to help them implement it. So we envisioned, and we just ran with the app because of time, but we envisioned ultimately it's a program that is set up to be able to give you a strong understanding of how to actually implement these best practices. So there's a way that you can actually work with your insurance provider to be able to set restrictions and warning signs in advance. So you're almost creating this protection for your employees. But how do you do that? And how do you talk to people who have maybe gone through that? So I think that
a little bit of this tells about that too. It's just how the employee is identified. We just used one particular instance. The star employee is slacking, they're not sure why. Use the same story that we told here. But then part of the whole thing would be that there's onboarding for the manager, and that it would break out into different options that they could use: in-person meetings, workshops, peer discussion. The manager could become a peer expert, but only in a digital platform. And then there would also be options for the worker to once recovered, also become a peer counselor, but use the app because we wanted to make sure that there was an anonymous environment for the worker, but the manager would be able to be more out in public. It wouldn't be the stigma attached. So we wanted to kind of protect the worker, but the manager would be more visible, I guess.
And we were sort of coming from the perspective of, we did change our how might we statement significantly as we were digging into this, realizing that these large organizations, they have their EAP programs and they're very well fleshed out. They've got all that documentation. But the mid-sized companies, not just the ironworkers unions and the ironworkers, but any mid-sized company, they don't have even an HR person dedicated. So that sort of groundwork needed to be available, even if it's simply boilerplates for various kinds of policies, so that they could then complete them and make them visible through this app as well.
Kind of like an out-of-the-box solution for small businesses, because if you only have 5 people or 8 people in your staff, you don't have the huge resources that some of the giant companies do. So it was almost like some way of providing a network to all these small businesses and providing a community and support and leveraging all that in there as well.
And the app route, truth be told, we were inspired by an indirect example of Tinder, right? It's matching 2 completely anonymous people that find similarities and they create that trust, and then they might form a relationship. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is create an opportunity for 2 complete strangers to find a trust, and we need to be able to leverage a network, and that's the web or the internet.
We also talked about various forms of sort of benefit and value that folks do, if it's points or if it's some sort of gamification that that makes it appealing to continue to be engaged. In particular for those who are in recovery or have come out the other side, so they can stay engaged as peers and as mentors those folks that are still struggling, that there's a reason for them to be there and feel good about that engagement.
I have more questions, but I only can ask one, so.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.